Well, a woman in Texas is suing a U.S. Marine claiming that he spiked her drink with abortion pills, killing their unborn child. The lawsuit alleges that 34-year-old Christopher Cooprider secretly dissolved at least 10 misoprostol pills into a cup of hot chocolate that he made for Leanna Davis.
Now, this lawsuit alleges it includes these text messages. Look there on your screen. They were sent in the weeks leading up to the incident in which Davis denied Cooprider's repeated requests to get an abortion. Well, so far, he has declined to comment. NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos joins us now with more. We know that Davis is claiming this wrongful death in a civil suit. Explain sort of why he would take that tack.
Here's the theory, and it actually appears to be a viable theory because it's not just the Marine being sued, it's also the company that provided these drugs. Otherwise, there really wouldn't be any deep pockets that would interest an attorney in bringing a lawsuit like this because, unfortunately, individuals simply don't have the money to pay these judgments. So the theory is this, that because obviously the Marine is not a doctor and he secretly provided these, he was essentially violating almost half a dozen different Texas laws and federal law in terms of being a non-physician and giving someone an abortion pill, to say nothing of the allegations that he did it to her without her knowing.
But why would she say civil? Why would she do civil?
Well, because as a person, that's really the only option she has. Now, what may happen, we saw this, for example, in the Sean Diddy Combs case, these allegations now filed in a civil complaint. Certainly the government, if there are no statute of limitations issues, could get interested in this case and bring a criminal prosecution. But here's the challenge. Because they have a greater burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt, as opposed to just a preponderance of evidence, there are some challenges here in terms of proving that the drug was placed surreptitiously into the hot cocoa. That might be a challenge, unless he's admitted it or something else, which I don't know. But there are a lot of text messages between them. Good circumstantial evidence for the plaintiff here.
It's a he said, she said at this point, whether or not that, he put these pills in her drink. Talk about this case with the backdrop of what's happening in Texas with abortion laws.
Right. So because abortion is most criminalized in Texas, because Texas has some of the most restrictive abortion laws, it actually creates a better avenue for this lawsuit. Because generally speaking, people who violate laws, sometimes that can be what's called per se negligence, per se responsibility, at least civilly, for what they've done wrong. It essentially aids in proving your civil case against someone. And as I mentioned before, as a non-physician, and by the way, even if you are a physician, the right or the ability to prescribe abortion drugs in Texas, very circumscribed. It's very, very limited.
But step back for one moment. Are there laws, if you cause the death of somebody's unborn child, are there laws criminally that you could be prosecuted on?
You're not just resorting to this case.
Oh, yes, exactly. And I believe that I would say this, that if you can prove, if the government or the local authorities could prove that he in fact placed the drug into her hot cocoa, which I have not seen, and I read the complaint, I didn't see that he admitted that in any of their text messages. And by the way, it was like 2% of the very disturbing text messages between these two. Really, really troubling stuff. But if he were, the challenge would be proving that he actually placed it in the cocoa. Tougher burden.
Right. Okay. In a criminal case. Danny Savalos, we really appreciate it. Very bizarre case.
Yeah, thank you.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.